Police are still on the hunt for those who killed a 5-year-old child during a hijacking incident in Soshanguve this week. Residents around Tswane and anywhere else in South Africa really are living in constant fear in the wake of an increase in hijackings and in something called road spiking. Let's unpack the story further. Richard Brussow is a director at the National Hijack Prevention Academy, and just the fact that we have such an academy, Richard, tells us the extent of the problem.
You're 100% right. It has becoming, especially 24, it has becoming alarming, the statistics, as you've mentioned, yes.
And Tswane is obviously on police radar. We saw with the release of crime statistics, I think it was last week, several police stations in Tswane, including Temba, Acacia, Pretoria Central, Brooklyn, Mabopane, and so on. They're among the top 30 police stations that are plagued by high levels of crime. And I mean, this incident that happened in Soshanguve with the shooting and killing of this 5-year-old child, it's just so incredibly shocking. Are you seeing in the kind of research and conversations you're having that Tswane is a particular hotspot in our country?
Tswane has become a hotspot, as you mentioned, but if you look at the amount of people and the amount of vehicles in Tswane, it's becoming bigger than Johannesburg. It's volume related. The amount of houses, the amount of money, the vehicles. So it's all got to do with numbers. You know, if you look at motor vehicles, everybody says VW Polo, Toyota Hilux, Fortuner, but look at their market share. You know, last year at one stage, they were selling 118 Toyota Hiluxes every day. The more they are, the more they will take.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you do. National Hijack Prevention Academy, you do what you say you do.
Correct, yes. We do training sessions. It's tailor-made to your needs. You know, a lot of times in South Africa, companies throw expats with normal South Africans, and it's normally difficult because the expat you mustn't scare, but the South African you must scare and say, listen, do what is told to you, and you might just survive an attack. So it's 85% of the training is preventative measures, and 15%, if this attack does take place, how do I give the vehicle away in a non-threatening manner?
Right. So I want to get to the kinds of pointers that you give in the training in just a moment, but with this senseless shooting and killing of this 5-year-old child who was walking out of his home to go and welcome his father home as he was coming home from work, shot and killed in this hijacking. The incident around Luke Fleurs also comes to mind, where certainly by the looks of eyewitness accounts, he had already relinquished the car and he was then shot. It goes to show, right, that these shootings are happening even when the car is given without any kind of fight by the owner.
If I can start with the Luke Fleurs case, Luke Fleurs and his 4 friends were at the filling station. 2 went into the one-star shop, if I can call it a one-star shop. Him and his friend were in the vehicle. The guns were pointed at them. They were out of the motor vehicles. Luke went then back to the vehicle, opened the door, and that's when the shot was fired. So there the media got it a bit wrong. He actually went back. I'm not saying that he fought back, but he reopened the door. So there is a bit of confusion there. You know, if you take kids that have been injured, the last one was about 10 years ago. Remember the very sad case the Sunday afternoon in Reiger Park, where the little 4-year-old was dragged behind the motor vehicle. So if you look at kids being injured, it's isolated cases. But I still believe till today, with 42 years of investigation experience, this was a freak accident. You know, I still can't. You're not going to convince me. A criminal will take a firearm pointed at a 5-year-old and pull the trigger. So the story is a bit uncertain. The child ran out to the father. Father claimed the criminal or the hijacker was high on drugs. He was nervous. He was shaking. He was mumbling a lot. So maybe at that point, the child shouting, "Daddy," whatever the case, a shot was fired. So we don't know. I'm not saying, you know, it's right. It's still wrong. It's murder. But I still believe, no, this was a freak accident. You know, once 10 years ago, now again, it's not an occurrence that happens that often. No.
Yeah, heartbreaking as it is. But, you know, the reason for my question is that, you know, I just wonder whether, even though we comply in these hijacking situations, whether you are still at risk of being shot and even killed.
Look, if you look at the age of the criminals, they normally, when you look at hijacking, they're between 19 and about 26 years old. So what, at that time, what could scare a 19, 20-year-old? Your body size, the way you climb out of your motor vehicle, a quick movement or so. A quick example, 7 out of 10 people in South Africa are right-handed. You write with this hand. So where would you place a weapon inside a vehicle when you're traveling? Weapon, pepper spray, taser, knife, gun, in the pocket by the door, between the legs on the side. Yeah. Imagine now you driving, Michelle, something big, Toyota Hilux, a Fortuner, you high off the ground. So the slightest move with your right hand, although you're complying, the robber might misread this and think you're reaching for something.
Okay, so what do we do? And I imagine the scenarios are different depending on, for example, whether I'm stopping at a shopping center and whether I'm driving on the open road, or whether indeed I'm turning into my own driveway at home.
Correct. If you take 71% of this crime happens in a home driveway, that could be your own or someone else's driveway. If you approach your property in the afternoons, check your mirror. If there's a car behind you and the car's like 80 to 100 meters far, be careful. Your brain says, no man, robbers don't follow at that bigger distance. The robbers like to follow at between 4 to 5 properties. The robber knows when you look in your center mirror, you won't be able to see who's in the car behind you, how many people, and most important, the robber knows. Your eye is going to tell your brain, they are far, I'll be in through the gate before they get here. So the robbers keep back. They look for the sign. It's normally your car's brake lights coming on, the indicator coming on. Then they accelerate and they box you in at your gate. So stop in the road. Always have your escape route. As soon as you've stopped and it looks clear, open the gate. When that gate is open and you've entered, stop. That gate must close behind you immediately. The reason for that is we sometimes drive in with these automated gates. You stop when you exit the car, only then do you go and close the gate. Oh yeah, the gate. The deeper in you go while the gate is open, the deeper you're pulling the robbers into your property. And that is a lot of times when hijacking rolls over into house robbery. I want to stop at the gate. So let's limit the crime to only a hijacking. What I mean by that is if something goes wrong, it must happen at your front gate, not in front of your garage door, not in front of the house's front door.
Yeah. So you're saying if indeed I spot someone behind me, however far they might be, stop in the road. Don't start turning into the driveway. Stop in the road, wait for them to pass.
Yes, that's right. Be careful. What the robbers now do is if they see you stopping in the road, the robber says, oh, you're clever. If the end of your road is 100 meters and shorter, they sometimes overtake, accelerate, make a U-turn and come back. A lot of times on social media, you see videos where the robbers come back, they run in on foot while the gate is busy closing. Right. You'll see earlier, they overtook, end of the road, U-turn, came back. If the end of the road is anything further than about 5 properties, they normally go about 3 houses down and they normally select a driveway on the opposite side of the road. The reason why they always go opposite side is to give them better visibility. So if the car overtakes you, although you only see one person in the car, the other guys might be sleeping, they go lower than the window. They make U-turn somewhere and they come back. Sit in the road, 10 seconds. That car that has overtaken me, what is the car doing now? I see it pulled into that driveway, okay? But is the person just sitting in the car? Is he climbing out? 10 seconds effort can save your life one day.
Wow. I mean, this is so incredibly scary to think about, isn't it? But necessary conversations for us to have. So worst case scenario, I've pulled into my driveway now and they are inside my driveway. What do I do?
Yes. If the weapon is pointed at you, your first reaction is you will hands up. I'm no threat to you whatsoever. Be careful dropping your right hand as they might think you're reaching for a weapon. So it's up, left hand. You will lean across, take the door lever and pull it once. The door will unlock. Be careful when your left hand goes down and you press the seatbelt mechanism. A lot of people have got jewelry on their left hands. Watch, ring, bangle. Be careful doing too much of this. So it's up, door, left hand, seatbelt, move your hand forward after that. In an automatic, just yank up the handbrake. It'll hold the car. In a manual, take it out of gear. I'm scared your foot slips off the clutch and the car lunges forward. Him thinking you're running. Up, door, left hand, and you move away from that vehicle.
Yeah, and obviously your life is a lot more important. It's
Correct.
it's the ultimate thing that's important. Just get rid of the car if that's what it takes. We're running a bit out of time, but I want to touch on the other two scenarios we mentioned, Richard. Let's go to if I'm on a main road or a highway and this happens.
If you're on a main road, let's, for example, on the main roads now, the freeways, we're looking at spikes has become a massive problem. You know, the problem is you don't always see the spike. You know, the spike might be camouflaged under a paper bag, a plastic bag. Now, the problem is your car's wheel diameter is, let's say, that big. Now you go over the spike. Immediately, all the air is pushed out. So you're putting your car off balance. So the car dips in the direction of the tire. You go over the spike, the air is out, the car dips, you hit the brakes as hard as you can. You're offsetting the balance of the car. In the veld accident, they storm steal what they can off they run.
Yeah.
So if you drive at night and you go over a spike, your first objective is steering wheel, keep the car straight. Keep the car going, keep it going. Your objective is to try and get 5-6 kilometers further. A car's rim can take a tremendous amount of hammering. Keep on going, keep on going. But while you're now moving to where you decide to go, that's when you already start phoning.
Right.
Try and get help. If the car breaks, get out, take what you want out of your motor car, across the road in the veld, watch the light of your phone, phone for help, and wait for help to arrive. Your vehicle sitting in it is not a safe place.
Absolutely. So just keep going. Whatever you do, don't stop the vehicle. And then in a shopping mall, it's happened, right, where people are followed from shopping malls. Maybe they've been to the bank. Maybe they're wearing a particular kind of jewelry. It can really happen anywhere in the shopping mall scenario.
And in a shopping mall scenario, you know, what they do is they normally stake out the individuals at the banks. They like Thursday afternoons. A lot of the contractors draw money on Thursdays to pay wages on Fridays. When you leave the actual shopping mall, focus on your surroundings. If you think there's a vehicle behind you and you think they might be following you, quick example, next traffic light, indicate left, check the mirror. What's the car behind me doing? The one I think is following me, they're also going left. Traffic light goes green, try and turn right if you can. If I know you are there, I can do something. But the problem in South Africa, we're so sidetracked. Oh, they came from nowhere. You cannot come from nowhere. Focus on your surroundings, especially if you've gone to the mall and you've drawn a large amount of cash.
And perhaps just don't draw large amounts of cash if possible.
Correct.
Richard, you've given us a lot to think about, and I think a lot of really good practical advice. Richard Brussow is the director at the National Hijack Prevention Academy. Of course, it's an issue we face around the country, but those numbers do appear to be soaring in Tswane as well. Richard, thanks very much indeed.